Hi there. Hi there. I'm Skylar, and this is my YouTube channel. I already have a YouTube channel, but this is another YouTube channel that I'm starting. This one is gonna be with the camera on me, following everything I do on a daily basis. Not on a daily basis, but maybe once or twice a week. All the projects I worked on throughout the week. Currently I got the house all framed up, foundation is done, so it's just a shell. Roof isn't on yet, and I'm gonna post some videos about that too, because I built the foundation. That's all ICF forms. I did that in the winter time, so when it was like -20 I was doing that, and it turned out pretty good. And then I framed the house in the rainy season, the rainy time of the year, or it was just a really rainy year, so I got videos of doing that as well. So I did this all the hard way. Same with the shop over there. The workshop that's not quite finished, I did that the hard way too. I did that in the middle of winter, trying to tighten all those bolts in -30. So all these videos will be of me just buttoning everything up, doing stuff like this scaffolding wagon. I made that out of a couple trailer axles and some scrap steel, and maybe answer any questions you have about what it's like to build your own house in the real world. You know, when you're working a job 9 to 5 and coming back in the evening, or 9 to 5, what am I saying, 7 to 4, 7 to 5, and then coming in the evening to work on your house that's an hour and a half away, and then driving back and getting up at 5 in the morning the next day, and what's all entailed in that, and maybe a couple questions you may have answered as I'm building. But there is a lot of YouTube content on how to build things. So, and I'm not the most expert. I'm not the biggest expert on YouTube. So if you want to find something out, I'm sure there's a video on YouTube with someone a lot more experienced and with a lot more information to give. Yeah, the plan today, this house, it has a weeping tile around it just like a regular house. So every house, when you put your foundation in, you have your footing, and then beside the footing you have a weeping tile around the house that helps with drainage, or it is the drainage. So if the ground is full of water, like ground gets rained on, all the water seeps through the ground, and you don't want that coming into the house or coming up in underneath the house and then flooding the basement. So every house has a weeping tile system around it, or at least most do. And what that weeping tile is just a plastic pipe that can withstand being buried. So you bury anything in the ground, is going to have pressure on it, especially over time as the ground settles, is going to, you know, put pressure on the pipe. So this pipe is designed to withstand the pressure from being buried in the ground, and it's got slits in it that allow the water from the ground to go into the pipe. And then from there, usually what happens is the weeping tile goes around the house, and it goes back in underneath the footing or through the footing into the house, and then you have a tank in the house. And then from that, when that tank gets full, it has a little pump in there, and then that pumps it into the sewer system. So what a lot of times happens with that pump will fail, and then your basement will flood, or you know, what have you. Say you go away on holidays and you come back and you get a wet basement. I didn't want to have that happen. So when I did this foundation, so if this house wasn't so heavy, it would float like a boat, because I got the so underneath the footing is all blue skin, and then the blue skin wraps up underneath to the inside, and then from the inside it ties into a vapor barrier underneath the floor slab. And it's got foam, and then on top of that it's got concrete. The foundation in this house is completely sealed. You know, there's no water going to be coming up into the house. I do have a tank in the house, but that's just for under the floor if the weeping tile doesn't get it. So this house has two systems. I have a tank in the basement that collects water from the crush underneath the concrete floor. And the weeping tile, the actual weeping tile that goes around the house, this weeping tile is going to go into one big tank here. So I dug a hole last year right before winter, hoping I could get the tank in there, and it sat all winter, and then spring came and it thawed out, and now I got frogs in there and a big hole. And I was getting a little bit worried because it is fairly close to the house. I didn't want to destabilize the foundation of the house, but it's far enough away I'm not worried anymore. But even after I dug this hole, I'm thinking I want the tanks a little bit closer, so I'm going to square the tank up with the house. So there's going to be two tanks. One of those, so those are just big culverts, basically big plastic culverts, those two round tubes there. So one of them is going to be the drainage for the weeping tile, and then from there it pumps into the freshwater tank, and then you can use that to water the garden and what have you. So I'm going to figure out where I'm going to put my hole for the tank, dig a hole for the tanks, put the tanks in, and that's where the weeping tile is going to drain to. So the weeping tile is going to drain to the first tank. That tank will have a pump in it. When it gets full, it pumps over into the freshwater tank, and any excess from the freshwater tank runs off over the road into the trees. And the freshwater tank is also going to take water from the eaves trough, and if that ever gets overfilled, it'll run off into the road and over into the trees somewhere. So this is a way to save water, so I'm not pumping water from the well to water the garden or water the lawn or what have you. I always have some rainwater stocked up or stored up, and takes a little easy on it'll take it easy on the water well. So so there's my pipes for the weeping tile. So it's already around the foundation. I'll post all the videos of when I was doing the foundation, when I was doing the house and all that, so you can see how I did that. Did it in a big tarped off building in the middle of winter. Here's the two stub ends for the weeping tile. So what I gotta do is dig a big trench to where the tanks are going, somewhere over here, and then run a solid weeping tile. So this weeping tile has is perforated, so it's got holes in it to allow the water in. But when I connect to the weeping tile going into the tank, I don't want it collecting water from everywhere here, so that's going to be solid. And here's my solid weeping tile. It's been sitting outside for about a year already because I've been too busy with so many other things. And this black water line here, that's my drain for the tank underneath the house. So if the weeping tile doesn't catch all the water, if for whatever reason that pump screws up, then I still do have a drain underneath the floor in the house, so it'll go through the crush into the tank, and then it just gets pumped out. So that's the secondary system. So it's a two system. Here's my tanks. Right now they're just big culverts. So I bought these both, I think, for 300 bucks, and a big tank you can bury in the ground is a lot more than that. So the plan is I'm gonna stand them on end, stand them on end, pour concrete around it, seal off the bottom with concrete, and then that's the tank right there. And then when I get it buried in the ground, I can cut my holes in it, run my pipes, and then fill it up, or fill up the ground, backfill up to the tank, and then I'm just going to pour the cap right on top of the tank. I'll drill some holes in it, put my plywood over the top, maybe inset the plywood a little bit, coat the outside with foam or tape or something, pour the concrete, and then I'll be pouring the concrete covers in place, is what I'm saying. So those are going to be my two tanks. So it's late already today, and I just got out here, and I got the car filled up with diesel. I got diesel for the big grade all, I got gas for the dump truck, and gas for the generator so I can run the cement mixer. or have a little gas-powered cement mixer. I'd be for that. So just gonna go fill up the grate all so I can dig the hole. It's probably got diesel, but probably not enough. So, and I survived the trip back with my gasoline and diesel death trap in there. So there's a gas station not too far away, so I made sure to fill up as close as possible, just to reduce the risk of a rear end. Two jerry cans full of gas and diesel in the back is not a very good idea in a smart car. So when I do start digging, I'll have to continue on the pond, and here's the road for the shop. I got it partial of the way. It still has to get built up about another 2-3 feet all the way to the back there, and then to the road. So, and there's a big hole here, so I got to fill the big hole here. And there's the frame I pulled out of a RV to make a little trailer for the smart car. And there's my big pile of garbage, and here's the remainder of the things I'm cleaning up. When you're young, you can collect a lot of things before you have a purpose, but a lot of the things I have are very useful right now. Kind of grasping at straws to get some opportunity for yourself when you're younger, and collect a lot of things that you don't necessarily need, but kind of might need, because you don't really know what you're doing, and in the future you might need it or you might not need it. So you tend to oh hey, I need that, and then you just get it. So this machine here, I towed this machine back from like about 50-60 kilometers away. Towed it back behind the grader at like, I don't know, probably 30 kilometers an hour for like 20 hours straight. There must be a wasp nest here, because there's a wasp. And down to about 1/16 of a tank. Okay, so I'm pissing the wasps off. So I'm gonna go unload the gas and come back when that's finished draining. Get those out before I... And I don't have the doors on the shop yet, but soon. And I know the welder doesn't look like much. Needs some new coverings for sure, but it runs good. I sold my other one. I had 2 of them at one time. So, and there's a big oil mess. It's not too dirty, I suppose. This is pH 3614. That one's 7575. So yeah, they're the same one. This one just has a valve to keep it from flowing back. pH 3614, so it should work. And after it makes contact, 3/4 of a turn, so that line over here. Okay, that's pretty tight. The concrete's been sitting here for about a year since I did the concrete in the shop, and it's hardened up a little bit, but there should be enough good bags in there. Oh yeah, hard as rocks. Yeah. Oh, top one's not too bad. That one's a little bit soft. We'll find out. Hopefully there's enough usable concrete in there. was 44, one was 30, so 38, so these are 34s. And can't forget a shovel. So I'm gonna put all the gravel and sand in the mixer. I worked it out when I was pouring the center of the pad. 7 gravel, 3 sand, 7 gravel, 3 sand, 2 concrete, and 1 water, something like that. And I just gotta go cut the wood for the forms. I need a 1 square form, interior size 44 by 44, and the other one 38 by 38. So I'll go cut 2 at 44, 2 at 47, and then 2 at 38, and 2 at 41. And I'm not overly worried how straight it's going to be. Should I cut my screed? Yeah, cut my screed board here. That did a lot of work with that, but it's time has come to the end here. So 44 is right there. That concrete on there doesn't really do the blade a whole lot of good, but as long as it's not some big chunks, it's not too bad. That's a nice board. I don't know if I want to cut it. I think I'll cut this shit one for the second one. Crap, if I hadn't cut that bit off the end, it might have worked. Ah, that's close enough. Okay, so I think I got everything. I got stakes to keep the forms in place. I got rebar for the pads, 34 and 40. I got stakes for the supports for the culverts or the big tubes. I got extension cord off the generator for the mixer, power pack for the water pump, pail for sand and what have you, hammer to hit the stakes in. I got my trowel, not a finishing trowel, to smooth out the concrete once it gets into the form. I got my saw. I got support boards for the big tubes. I got the form boards. What else am I missing? I got my impact, but I don't have a bit for it. I think I got some bits in the house with the screws. Okay, we're here. Just gotta go in the house and see if I got a bit. So I had an indigenous man come through the woods, and I had the dump truck sitting here, crawled up on the dump truck, and then went inside the house looking for stuff to steal. And then I called the cops, and the cops came because I had there's a security camera in the house here, and there's a security camera on the pole out there, and so as soon as he was here, he was on camera. So phoned the cops came and caught him. He was emptying his boot out in the field, and they caught him. And they said, oh, this guy's just not very smart, and is this, well, he's trespassing, you know, prosecute him to the full extent of the law, whatever it was. And they gave him a $600 fine, and then brought him back to the reserve or wherever he was from. But anyway, and then the second one was some lady that just walked right through the property, and just looked for things to steal and then walked right out. But anywho, so that's why I don't have the stairs set up near the house and why I needed a ladder. Okay, I don't got any of the interior framing up yet, but don't tell me I'm out of screws. Number 1, the Torx. Well, I have a bunch of bits, but No extension. Or that'll work. It's not a funny thing. I'm out of screws. So I need screws. Well, there's some in the pail. Well, I have nails too. I didn't bring my nail gun, but I can just break those apart and throw some nails in. Nails will work. Yeah, it's a little bit damp in here because I got the penetrations for the foundation. Yeah, it's a little bit damp in here because I have the penetrations for the foundation right there. And I have a trench on the outside, so all the water goes right there and then leaks in through there. So it's always a little bit damp. So that's the whole reason why I'm putting in the weeping towel tank first before I start interior framing, just to keep things a little bit drier, or keep it dry altogether. So that should be enough to put the forms together. Yeah, and then the next step, so as soon as I get those tanks in, next step will be setting the windows. I have those two windows are set. I think those two and maybe that one I set in place already. They're all squared in the opening and screwed in with the special window screws. This one, I don't know, this one's still sitting. Yeah, this one's not set either. But these ones are set nice, even though there's all kinds of dead moths and shit. I better clean that before the wife sees that. Yeah, it closes nice. I just don't want to close it because it'll squish all those moths in there. So, all these, the openings kept their shape. Yep. Holy fuck. So many moths. All squished in there now. So, yeah. Next step is get all the windows set and vacuumed. Yeah, that's what happens when you're doing it all yourself. It takes a little bit of time. Starting to get moths and flies and all kinds of weird shit in here. So, yeah, for the most part it's just a shell now. So, first the tanks are in, all the windows are set in. Tape the top seam on the outside of the windows so the water doesn't get behind, and then drip on the top of the, come in behind the, because right now these windows are sitting on top of the Tyvek wrap, and a little bit of water comes in there and then you get water damage on the sill, because this is just all MDF, just all pressed board. So you don't want any kind of water coming in and damaging your window sills, unless you get the plastic ones, then you don't have to really worry if you have the plastic sills on the inside. But 1, 2, 3, 4, the ones we got, we bought them at Home Depot. They're a lot cheaper, but you have to kind of go by the sizes at Home Depot. So when I was framing, because I'm doing it all myself, I framed the sizes for the windows a little bit different. So those ones are 4x4, and I think that one was a 4x5. And then, yeah, so that one was a 4x5, and these ones were 4x4, and these ones were a 3x4, and we ended up going 3x3 or something like that. So we kind of picked the sizes that would work that we wanted, and it turned out they're, you know, a lot cheaper. Like if I would have custom ordered the window, when it would have been like $400, but you go get it at Home Depot, it's like $200. So you add up, you know, the savings, $200 per window. You know, there we saved $1,000 just on the little ones. And then the big ones, we got custom made. So those are, you know, 5 foot by whatever. Those are $1,000 a piece windows, roughly. And then the door, my wife found the door on sale. The door was $7.99. Fiberglass door. I would have rather had a steel, but steel door is like $4 grand just for a single door. So we went with the fiberglass $7.99 door. Yeah, and then the little windows were the same size. There's lots of those. So yeah, and then skylights, put in 2 skylights. I originally had them up higher, and then I moved them down lower because they're shining too high. The lower spot was better. The wife's like, oh, why don't you put it lower? It's like, oh yeah, okay, I put it lower, yeah, and it's better there. So what would be good is a skylight over here too, but we got the center dormer there in the way. So I don't know. Could put a skylight on this side here too. My wife's friend said, oh yeah, you should put a skylight for the bathroom. Well, that's not a bad idea either. It'd be nice to have some natural light in the bathroom. Carefully crawl out of the house. So first step is to make my forms. Something like that. Take apart the nail pack here. You're saying, why don't you go get your nail gun? Well, I have to go get the air compressor, and then I have to get the cord and to check, make sure the nail gun's got oil. And I suppose it's not that hard, but it's just as easy to break apart these nails, and then I don't have to put everything away after either. So So that's the high corner, roughly. There's good glue on there. Glue on every corner. That's pretty good there. Okay, so there's the forms leveled out on the ground, roughly. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. They're like that just so the concrete isn't sitting funny on the bottom of the tank. So we got 44 by 44 there, 38 by 38 there. Double check with the tanks or the culverts. 36 will go into 44 just fine, and 30 will go into 38 just fine. What I do now is get some concrete chunks and throw it in there. Look, a boot print. I saved all these because these are really cheap ladder chairs for the rebar. They're really, you know, like ladders for rebar are pretty cheap anyway. What are they, like $2 a chair or something? Ready to go. That'll keep the rebar off the bottom. And usually you have your rebars. Depending on your drawings, 12 on center, 16 on center, 24 on center if you have just a walkway, 16 on center or 12 on center for a garage pad. The more weight you got on, The tighter your spacing and the bigger your bars are. But this is just to keep the concrete base for the tank together. So I'll wire all this together, and then I can start pouring concrete if any of that concrete is still good. So the moral of the story is, if you got concrete left over, like those are $8 a bag, so there's probably like $100 there. So there's probably like $200 of concrete there that got hard. So moral of the story is, if you got extra concrete, sell it or take it to an auction if you're not going to use it right away, because if you don't use it right away, it's not going to be any good unless you store it in the garage. If you have it sitting outside on a pallet or something, unless you're in Arizona, it's not going to be good in a month or two. So there, that's what the tank will sit on. This will be full of concrete. This will be full of concrete, and then I'll set the tank on it, vibrate it. The reason I fill the form up with concrete first is because I want some concrete inside the tank. So this will be full of concrete. I'll set the tank on it. So this will be full of concrete. I'll set the culvert on it. And the reason I want this full of concrete first is because if I put the tank here or put the culvert here, and I fill it around with the concrete, and then I vibrate it, it's not going to go all the way into the center. It's going to, there'd be a low spot in the center there. So I fill the form right up to the brim before I put the culvert in there, and then when the culvert's there, it'll sit right in there, and when I vibrate it, it'll go back out to the edges on the inside, and on the outside I can put a little bit more around the edge too. So that's the plan anyway. Okay, so center's still good. Okay, so water, need water. My pile of gravel is there, and I got one over there. Sand is everywhere, so I just got to get water here now. There we go, pump is on. I got 100% battery. It's all 12-volt power. One pail will make roughly 2 loads of concrete. Don't really need a lot of water. Come on, you can do it. You can do it. Holy smokes, just barely running it. Yes, I am not prepared too well. Last time I had the big water tank out, that works a lot better. And the breaker went. Shit. Damn it, the breaker went on the generator, so that means I'm going to get the little my wife has a little cement mixer. Looks like I'll be using that one to pour the concrete here. Tight, sucking the water back. Yeah, a cement mixer is just a little bit too much for a 2500 watt generator. Need at least a 4000 watt. Oh, that'll do it. Shit. Too much. Okay, we'll try this again. If it doesn't start, then I'll take the float bowl off again, and then it could be that one little venturi that goes into the intake there that's plugged. See, there's that one little venturi there. Sometimes it plugs up with smuts. That's the main jet into the intake. And if it's plugged up, you could blow it with a... Yeah, there's some smuts in there for sure. I need a smaller wire. Yeah, look at the green crap in there. That's evaporated fuel, and that's it corroding the copper or brass fittings in there. So I think I almost got through. Need a stiffer and smaller wire yet. There we go. A cutting torch tip cleaner works pretty good. So I got that little one in there. I just find the next smallest one to shove in there. A little dab of acetone. Let's check that out. So on, probably don't need choke. Okay, it's good, just needs some use. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour, maybe I'll do one little batch. I'll do one little batch of that cement and see if it dries overnight. And then if it's good tomorrow morning, I'll pour the other ones just to see how long it takes for the cement to dry that's so old. Maybe I'll fix up, I'll mount the bucket on the forklift tomorrow. I think is what I probably should do. Yeah, it looks like pretty nice concrete. So I think what I'll do is I'll goop it in there. I'll goop it in there, and that'll hold the rebars in place. Yeah, pretty nice concrete. A little bit too much concrete mix in there, but that's pretty good. I don't want to use my hand because I don't have any vinegar here. You get too much concrete on your hand, you're going to put vinegar on it. Just reaction. Drying your hand out. Yeah, that's the wife's machine. That's a pretty good little machine. Okay, so that's pretty much it for today. I just gotta pack up. I'm gonna leave the boards here. I might roll the culverts into place. I'll cover the concrete back up, and I'm gonna head back. I'll take the cement mixers back, the big one. Yeah, I'll take the big one back to the shop. The little one I'll take back too, just so nobody comes out here and steals it. And that's pretty much it for tonight. So I'll be back here tomorrow morning to pour those little pads and get the tank set up.